Okay, so here I am in a display shed over Home Depot in Portland, Oregon, or just south of Portland, Oregon. And this is one of the kits. I think this one is roughly $1,000. These are a good starting point for a lot of survival retreat outbuildings, cabins, things like that. You also have to realize these kits don't really come with a floor. Okay, that's one reason it's a different color on the displays. The other thing is, as they're insufficient for a lot of use. What it is it's pre-cut pieces, pre-cut instructions. You're going to save money on labor, spending a little bit more on the kit as opposed to buying raw lumber. Now, the other thing that you're going to gain an advantage on that is time to assembly, okay, which means that when we're talking about like making a lot of these gussets and a lot of these other pieces, we don't have to figure those angles out. Those are part of the pre-cut kit when we get this. So it's a pre-cut pieces for all of that. A couple other things here that might be optional was some of these upper shelves. I'm not sure if they were included or not. If they weren't, it's something we can build in. It's not that hard to do. One of the modifications I like to look at on a lot of this stuff, when you look at a lot of their designs, they're made to be compliant with building codes everywhere, where there's limitations on the size of what you could build without a permit. And generally speaking, you want to put these things in without having to go through the whole permit process, but sometimes you have to. And so what it is you would take the thing into your permit planning department, you give them a thing, like a lot of times just a catalog entry. And once they realize it's one of these things that's built to International Building Code, they're probably going to say it's fine as outbuilding as long as it's not a residence. There are some modifications you need to look at for longevity. And there's also a reason why you can get these buildings complete that are the display models at some of the big box stores. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to go over to this one. This one's 10 by 10, $6.99 on sale. Now, the display model we would think maybe would go a little cheaper. But we're going to look at a few things here. Here we've got some fungal growth. We've got little water damage happening here, fungal growth here, and over here we've got what appears to be a double layer wall. We can go look at the back of this, but they may have double layered this wall because it's structural and there's not a lot of upright framing. So the particle board is structural, and if we were going to add drywall to this, we would put some additional framing in. And this is 2x3 framing, not 2x4. 2x3 works just fine for small buildings. But you'll notice that the roof truss situation has been done with 2x4s. These are stapled in place. Personally, I would want to glue those in addition to the staples. Glue and screw is fine, but basically I'd want a little bit more fastener on that. But you can see some air gap here, a little bit of space, and how we've got water damage happening. This is a display model. Now, there's a few different reasons for that. One, this is a particularly heavy rain type of area. Sometimes gets snow. We'll notice that we can see a few roofing nails sticking down. We've got some seams up here. That's normal, okay? That's normal to have an unsupported seam on some of this type of stuff where the seam isn't ending up at a board. Okay, that's actually more normal than a lot of people want to talk about, even though proper roofing guys are going to say, oh, you can't have an unsupported seam. Well, it happens. Now, one of the ways that I found that I can reinforce this type of design really well is simply adding another layer of sheathing. Now, you're going to notice that each one of these is around 5 feet. We simply take an 8-foot, we take 8-footers, we put them up there, we create roof overhang, okay? And that's where all of this problem came from. That's where this thing's eventually going to start coming apart, is because they didn't design enough roof overhang into it. And that's what's happening right here. is that they simply don't have enough roof over it. The water comes out, and instead of shedding off, it's rolling down here, and it's working in a wicking motion to come down around that side. And you can see they sealed everything. They may have even sealed these ends with paint or something, but when the water rolls down, it rolls into the edges of this, which will have a wicking motion. And that's what will actually soak the water inside like a sponge. And even here we've got a double overhang, so what's happening is this one's getting double the amount. It's getting all the water off of this roof, plus it's getting all the water off of this roof. And that's where this type of thing is going to happen. One of the ways you solve a lot of those problems, especially on this off-grid backwoods type construction, where you might be doing some alternative things on paint or wall covering or any of that kind of stuff, is just add more plywood, add a little bit of reinforcement to the outer edges, and get more roof overhang all the way around. More is better when it comes to that. The reason a lot of your design people are not going to want to play roof overhang is because of permit issues, because they talk about square footage. Is some municipalities don't measure the footprint of the building, they measure the roof print. So they figure, okay, if we've got that much of a footprint on the building, then the walls need to be that far apart too to maximize our square footage. Well, maximizing square footage is going to get drywall isn't winning, okay? What you really want to do is design a lot of roof overhang into all of these things. And if that overhang starts to sag or droop or have little issues, you can put reinforcements or brackets or columns out there or repair it later on. But that's a heck of a lot better option than having this type of rot situation starting to reach down into your walls.